Okay, ever since I heard this, I haven't been able to get it out of my head, and it is the fact that you can look at anything in this world, and you're gonna know what it's like to lick it. I'm not trying to make a lesbian joke right now, I'm being completely serious, okay? You can look at anything, and you are going to know what it's like, that texture on your tongue. You're gonna know. You're just gonna know without ever actually doing it, okay? It's the weirdest thing. This rock. Have you ever licked a rock before? Probably, but I haven't. I know what it's gonna be like. I was correct. It's anything. The streamers on this pom-pom. You know, you can taste it through the screen. Maybe not taste, it's a different thing, but you know what it's gonna feel like on your tongue. Guaranteed. Tampon wrapper. I've never put this in my mouth. Almost got me. No, but I know what it's gonna be like. You know this leaf right here? Tell me you don't know what that's gonna be like on your mouth right now. It's weird. Not so fun facts to completely ruin your day. Every time we do daylight savings back an hour, the amount of heart attacks and car accidents goes up by 70%. There have been thousands of cases of people actually getting eaten up by an escalator. On airplanes, before takeoff and landing, they turn the lights off and ask everybody to open up their windows. And they do this essentially in anticipation of the plane crashing, because your eyes take time to adjust to the darkness. They turn them off in case it crashes, likelihood of survival, and they ask you to open the windows because they want to be able to see if there's like survivors inside. A lot of pets end up dying because their owner dies unexpectedly and nobody comes to check in on them in time. If you ever win a large amount in a lottery, you become 20 times more likely to die via homicide or just die broke. If a deer ever stumbles upon a rotting corpse, it will lay on top of it because it really likes the warmth. The most common last words before somebody dies are, "Oh no, something's wrong, I don't feel so good." It was just announced that Riz won Word of the Year. So I thought it might be fun to look at the past winners and just see how they hold up. Okay, 2022 was Goblin Mode, 2021 was Vax, 2020 was Words of an Unprecedented Year, which feels like a fucking mouthful. 2019 was Climate Change, 2018 was Toxic, yes it was, 2017 was Youthquake, 2016 was Post-Truth, which kind of makes sense, 2015 was the laughing emoji. 2014 was vape, 2013 was selfie, 2012 was GIF, or GIF if you're weird, 2011 was squeezed middle, 2010 was refudate, 2009 was unfriend, 2008 was hypermilling, 2007 was locavore, 2006 was carbon neutral, 2005 was podcast, and 2004 was chav. I don't know what chav means. A young person characterized by coarse or brash behavior. Alright, so, Riz, 2023 Word of the Year winner. I thought it'd be something like parasocial, but let's just be thankful it's not skibbity or gat. You know, they taught us a lot of things in school that just weren't true. Like, we were taught that the appendix is just this organ that doesn't really do anything until one day it tries to kill you and then you gotta remove it. Like, it's not productive to the digestive system or anything. Or the food pyramid. It used to be a real thing until the wheat companies bought it and changed it around, saying that we need 6 to 11 servings of bread a day. The tongue map is completely fake. You don't just taste salty on this specific region of your tongue or bitter on the very back of your tongue. It's just, that's nonsense. Your tongue tastes everything. There's taste buds all over. Or that George Washington's teeth were made out of wood. That is a mix of animal and human slave. Or that we only use 10% of our brains. Like, why would they tell us that? Like, is it a potential thing? Like, it's not true. You use your whole brain. Or that the government can't be corrupt because they have a system of checks and balances. So some bullshit. Or what about the whole, oh, if you don't pay attention in school and get good grades, you're gonna grow up and be a garbage man? They make more money than teachers do, and they don't have to deal with children. Here are the 6 kind of friends you'll most likely meet throughout your lifetime, but honestly, I'm mostly curious which kind you are. The social butterfly is the one that's always kind, friendly, welcoming, definitely outgoing, and is gonna be the one that's gonna try and cheer you up when you're down. Then we have the secret keeper. This is the person that you go and tell all of your deepest, darkest secrets to, and they don't go out and tell anybody. They actually keep it to themselves, and they're always there to lend an ear when you need it. Then we have the mother figure. This is the person that's prepared for anything. They got a Band-Aid, maybe even a snack in their purse. They're calling an Uber after a long night out, but they're also going to be the person that stands up for you if you're ever getting picked on. The fearless adventurer is the fun friend because they're wild and bold, and they're going to turn that everyday normal hangout into a night you're going to want to tell everybody. Or absolutely nobody. And then we have the older sibling who's supportive, but not always supportive. They're gonna help guide you through your journey of life with their little tidbits of wisdom. And finally, we have the loyal best friend. This is the person that's been with you through everything, thick and thin, and they've stuck by your side for some reason. You're always gonna have a special place in your heart for this person. Just trying to confirm, everybody's tired all the time, right? No matter how much sleep we get or caffeine we consume, but also we have a lot of trouble even just falling asleep, and we're constantly hungry, but also kind of always nauseous, and we're chugging more water than any other generation has ever chugged before, yet we're still dehydrated, and we're losing hair and getting wrinkles, but also still have acne, despite having the most intense skincare routine, and we're spending every waking moment either working or cleaning, but feeling like nothing ever actually gets accomplished, and we want to go out and make and see our friends, but staying at home is all we really have energy for. So we're juggling this like want to isolate ourselves but craving connection, so we just scroll and scroll and scroll, and we feel like we're wasting our life, but the life that's been set up for us just sucks. And you think that it's burnout, but you know, since 2020 our body hasn't even really known what reality feels like anymore. Facts that I really wish I didn't know. You know in the movies when somebody dies and their eyes are open and their buddy has to just like gently rub their hand over their face to close them? It's not like that in real life. You're gonna have to really grab onto that eyelid and pull it down like you're shutting the blinds, and even then it's probably not gonna work. They're gonna fling right back open. A pig orgasm can last up to 20 minutes. Statistically, people who masturbate at work have a higher productivity than people who don't. Eventually, all whales lose the energy to surface for oxygen and just slowly sink until they drown. When a medical examiner does an autopsy of your body, they don't put all of your organs back where they go. They take them all, including your brain, put it into a trash bag, and then sew that up inside of your torso. Besides scorpion venom, the most valuable liquid on Earth is horse sperm. 50% of all the dust is dead skin cells. Dyslexia is hard to spell. You have to stutter to say stutter. People who have a lisp can't say lisp correctly. People who can't say the letter R have rhoticism. People who can't pronounce the letter B have balanitis. People with landicism can't say their L's. People who can't pronounce that TH sound, have what is called the fronting. Hippopotamonstroscosquipaliophobia is the fear of long words. And finally, abophobia is the fear of palindromes. And a palindrome is when a word is spelled the same going forwards and backwards. Do you want to give off psychopath vibes? Next time you meet somebody new, ask them, do you remember me from last time? They're gonna say no, but either way, just smile and be like, think about it. Somebody did this to me a couple years ago and it haunts me. Shake somebody's hand, grab it, examine it, be like, this is a lot bigger than I thought it would be. Doesn't matter where you are. If you're in the middle of a conversation with somebody, take off your socks and just start rubbing your feet. Okay, ask somebody for a pen and paper. Then write down, thank you for the pen and the paper. And then give it back. Next time your shoe's untied, bend at the waist. Especially if you're just like in a hallway or somewhere, you're like, oh man, my shoe's untied. the fuck? Not so fun facts to completely ruin your day. Beagles are the most commonly used dog breed in animal testing because they are the most forgiving to humans. 3rd degree burns are not the worst kind of burns. There are 4th degree, meaning that all layers of skin are gone. There are 5th degree, meaning that there is now muscle damage due to the burning. And there is 6th degree, meaning that it is burnt all the way down to the bone. Eating an excessive amount of sunflower seeds can increase your risk of getting cadmium poisoning, which in Japanese literally translates to it hurts, and the symptoms include hair loss, fever, chills, muscle aches, and your bones softening. And if we're talking about translation, mortgage means death pledge. You should really make sure you're eating enough fruits and vegetables, because if you start lacking vitamin C, you could get scurvy, which means that the collagen process in your body just stops and starts to break down. And it could be as mild as just having your gums bleed a little bit to having every single old scar you have open back up and refuse to close. Hey, do you want to eat like 5 sticks of string cheese? Ew, no, that's way too many and kind of disgusting. Yeah, I thought you'd say that. So, I deep fried them, and here's some marinara sauce. Thank you so much. This is the perfect warm-up to what I'm actually gonna eat. Census experts have projected by the year 2060, 1 in 4 Americans will be Latino. So yeah, just make sure you keep an eye out for changes in your body and talk to your doctor if you have a newfound appreciation for bachata. The creator of Omegle has decided to shut the website down, which is kind of sad. This is pretty cool in the 2000s, early 2010s, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm surprised it lasted this long with how many guys were just wanking it on camera. The SAG-AFTRA strike is over, you guys. Finally, studios have agreed to pay their actors a living wage, at least for the next 3 years. Until AI tools get better. This does mean that all those movies and shows that paused are finally starting to roll back into production. We got Avatar: The Last Airbender, Inside Out 2, and even a new Mean Girls movie. China is testing these new anti-sleep highway lasers. They're gonna be going on at night when it's dark out to make sure people aren't falling asleep. Citizens are unsure if it's actually making the roads safer though. Did you know that there are actually 4 different kinds of introverts? First up, we have the social introvert, which kind of seems strange, but it's totally normal, okay? This person actually likes to go out to parties, hang out, socialize, especially with close friends versus strangers. They don't usually feel shy or anxious when they do this, but they do tend to get emotionally drained way more easily, so they need to go home and recharge. Number 2, we got the thinking introvert. This person is the head in the clouds type, daydreaming all the time. People that don't know them might think that they're a little bit aloof, but they're actually just really introspective. They're way more in tune with their feelings than the average person. Number 3, we got the anxious introvert. This is the person that does not want to go out and meet new people at that big new party because they're going to just be overthinking everything they just said, everything they just did for the rest of the night. Scratch that, for the rest of their life. They're just in there in a bad way. Number 4, we got the restrained introvert. This person would much rather stay at home, read a book, watch a show, but they're fine going out as long as everything is thoroughly planned. If you ever stand up too fast and get that tunnel vision, just clench your butt cheeks, okay? It's a blood flow thing. I promise it works. If you ever get pins and needles in your arms or legs, just move your neck back and forth. This will relax your muscles and get the blood flowing faster. If you ever get something stuck in your eye, just pull your eyelashes down. This will force whatever it is to come out. Next time you have a headache, try pinching this pressure point right here. It's going to redirect that ow feeling away from your brain. If you suffer from migraines, you can try 2 things, okay? You can either put your hands in ice cold water or put your feet in hot water. So many people have said that this works. And if you're feeling nauseous, try smelling rubbing alcohol. This is an emergency room trick, but if you feel like you're about to throw up, start humming, like it'll get the gagging to stop. And if you're ever having a panic attack, take your thumb, put it to your mouth, and blow. This will slow your heart rate and calm you down. And if your nose is ever running, take your tongue, push it to the roof of your mouth, and take your thumb and push it on your forehead. This will clear your sinuses. And if you ever have to go to the bathroom but you're waiting in line, you can either scratch the back of your calf or think about sex. For some reason, this tricks your brain into relief so you can hold it just a little bit longer. Yes, exactly this, okay? In a game of rock, paper, scissors, you need to throw the hands rock, paper, scissors. But it's a 2 out of 3 game. You won't need to get to scissors, okay? So statistically, and the psychology behind this, is the most commonly thrown hands are equally rock and scissors. Rock because it's hard, it crushes things. Scissors because people associate it with being sharp and dangerous. So, in a game, it goes rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh my god, you threw rock, they threw rock, it's a draw, it doesn't fucking matter. Next, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. They threw scissors because it's the most commonly used one. You're gonna hold on to rock until that happens. Boom, you got them. Now, 2 out of 3 game. You need to throw paper because this person is going to want to throw the hand that you just threw, the other most commonly tied hand in the game. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. You threw paper. Nobody was expecting paper. It's flimsy. What? Boom. You got them. You need to be careful with this though because people tend to get upset if they realize that you know how to win. You know, I stopped this series because I kept getting in trouble for it, but I remember the title and I'm feeling feisty. So, here are some unethical life hacks. Most Girl Scouts can't tell if cash is counterfeit, and I have faith that you'd be able to outrun a lot of them, even with your arms full of cookie boxes. And you know who else probably isn't going to look too hard at that fake $20 bill you're about to give them? Homeless people. They'll thank you for it, go try to buy something, get arrested, go to jail, and now you have single-handedly reduced the unhoused population in your area. And if a cop is watching you and you want them to stop, even if you're not doing anything shady, but especially if you are, just pick your nose, because no paranoid person is going to start doing this if they think somebody's watching them. If you are terminally ill and single, great. If you're married, get a divorce. You can stay together. It's a piece of paper. It doesn't matter, okay? Because you're about to spend your remaining time here on Earth drastically improving your quality of life by buying the things and going on the trips that you always dreamed of via credit card debt. Because what are they going to do when you die? Ding your credit score? Be for real. In a 2 out of 3 game of rock, paper, scissors, you first need to use rock, no matter what, and then use paper, okay? I guarantee you're going to win 99.99% of the time. I can explain the psychology behind this, but it's rock, paper, scissors. You know, I stopped this series because I kept getting in trouble for it, but I remember the title and I'm feeling feisty. So, here are some unethical life hacks. Most Girl Scouts can't tell if cash is counterfeit, and I have faith that you'd be able to outrun a lot of them, even with your arms full of cookie boxes. And you know who else probably isn't going to look too hard at that fake $20 bill you're about to give them? Homeless people. They'll thank you for it, go try to buy something, get arrested, go to jail, and now you have single-handedly reduced the unhoused population in your area. And if a cop is watching you and you want them to stop, even if you're not doing anything shady, but especially if you are, just pick your nose, because no paranoid person is going to start doing this if they think somebody's watching them. If you are terminally ill and single, great. If you're married, get a divorce. You can stay together. It's a piece of paper. It doesn't matter, okay? Because you're about to spend your remaining time here on Earth drastically improving your quality of life by buying the things and going on the trips that you always dreamed of via credit card debt. Because what are they going to do when you die? Ding your credit score? Be for real. In a 2 out of 3 game of rock, paper, scissors, you first need to use rock, no matter what, and then use paper, okay? I guarantee you're going to win 99.99% of the time. I can explain the psychology behind this, but it's rock, paper, scissors. Here are a bunch of things that were invented by women, but men took credit for. Mileva Maric is the founder of the theory of relativity, but she was also the wife of Albert Einstein, who got the credit for it. Heidi Lamar is the one who invented the technology for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, but she only got taken seriously when she started working with George Antheil. Marianne Donovan invented diapers, but Victor Mills stole her idea and went on to create Pampers. Rosalind Franklin is the one who discovered the structure of DNA, but Watson and Crick won a Nobel Prize for the research. Elizabeth Magie invented the Monopoly game, but the Parker brothers are the ones who became millionaires. Nita Stevens is the one who figured out the connection between chromosomes and sex, but her mentor E.B. Wilson published the papers before her and took credit for the discovery. Esther Ledenberg discovered a virus that infected E. coli bacteria, but her husband's the one that won the Nobel Prize for medicine. And I can go on, but I got one more, okay? One question. Do you know how many things were invented by men that women took credit for? 0. Not so fun facts to completely ruin your day. If you get a blood transfusion but accidentally get the wrong blood type, one of the symptoms is a sense of impending doom. Capgras syndrome is a mental delusion where you believe that all the people closest to you have been replaced by imposters. Cannibals have reported that the tastiest part of the human is the palm of the hand. There's more lemon juice in lemon-scented Pledge than there is in most store-bought lemonades. A floor cleaner has more lemon juice than the lemonade we drink. You're more likely to be bitten by a person in New York than you are a shark. The scientific cure for hiccups is anal massaging. There are more Panda Express locations in the world than there are actual panda bears. Each daylight savings we have increases the likelihood of people having heart attacks and car accidents because sleep is just that important. There's a 99.99% chance that this is the last time you and I ever cross paths. You know, unless you interact with the video. Here's some animal facts that'll just make your day. Crows absolutely love to play in the snow. Like they will literally just roll around in it. Rats are obsessed with playing hide and seek. And when they're found, they'll just squeal with excitement. A lot of research has gone into showing that our pets actually dream about us. Goldfish can recognize their owners. Bees will take naps in flowers. And I personally love this one because it goes to show that it's okay for you to take a nap because even busy bees do. I have discovered some horrifying news, okay? A study came out and it said that people, us silly little humans, only are about 50% accurate in determining whether or not somebody is flirting with us. That's terrifying. Imagine all the people you thought were just being friendly, but they were actually flirting with you, or worse, you thought they were flirting with you, but they were actually just being friendly. I thought it was just my autism, but now there's math that proves being subtle accomplishes nothing. You have to be very direct and in clear terms state that you are flirting with me, you are into me, because you can sit on my face and I would still think that I'm reading too much into it. Movie details that most people missed. In Across the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man's apology video has more dislikes than it has views. Relatable. In The Truman Show, all of the trees are in straight lines in rows, showing that it's a man-made forest and not a natural one. In the Super Mario Bros. Movie, Mario and Luigi try to stop flooding in Brooklyn and they break through a wall, and the hole they leave is the same shape as the original game Mario's pixelated head. They definitely forgot to fix that hole though, because Brooklyn is currently, actually flooding. People will swim in the ocean even though there's definitely corpses in it, but they won't swim in a pool if there's a corpse in it, which means that humans have a water to corpse ratio that is acceptable for them to swim in. Drinking cow's milk is okay. Drinking women's breast milk is not okay. Sucking on a woman's breast though is okay. Sucking on a cow udder is not okay. Ketchup was sold as medicine in the 1800s, which just makes me question what doctors are giving us today. The word slut was originally used to describe a woman who didn't keep her room clean. Two of our most common ice cream flavors are beans. Facts that I barely believe myself. If your car is ever overheating, you need to put the heat on hot, full blast, that way it pulls the air from the engine, thus cooling it down. Aluminum used to be more valuable than gold, and now we just use it to cover our food. When you work out, most of the fat being burned is coming out of your lungs. There was one engineer that was so dedicated to the Apollo missions that they continued to do calculations on the Apollo 13 mission while in the hospital giving birth to her son. Her name was Judith Love Cohen, and she's the mother of Jack Black. People tend to judge others based on their personality while judging themselves based on the situation. At one time, there was not only a pope and an anti-pope, but also a counter-anti-pope. The first bomb dropped on Berlin by the British in World War II had no human casualties, but it did kill an elephant. The Spartans didn't build a wall around their city, figuring that their reputation alone would stop anybody from trying to attack them. But during the Persian War, the Persians wanted to attack Sparta, so they hired a Greek guide to take them there. But when they got there, they kind of just found this crap-looking city without a wall around it and figured that the Greek guy was lying to them, so Sparta was spared. The Chinese emperor around the year 200 BC escaped an assassin by running around a pillar for hours. Pepsi once had the 6th largest military in the world after Russia couldn't afford to pay for its products, so it instead traded 17 submarines, a frigate, a cruiser, and a destroyer in a trade deal. The guy who invented the World Wide Web only did so because he got tired of having to walk over to his coworker's desk, ask him what data is on his computer, and walk back to his to download it. The bulletproof vest was invented after a pizza delivery guy was working in Detroit and got shot twice. He made it and proved that it worked by shooting himself in the chest in front of police. Cereal was invented as a way to try and get kids to stop touching themselves. The man who made the webcam did so he could watch his coffee being made from bed. McDonald's created the supersize as a promotion for the Jurassic Park movie, but kept it because our fat asses loved it. Immediately after you see somebody check the time, ask them what time it is. I guarantee you, they're gonna have to check the time again. If you're ever in an argument with somebody or even just roasting your friends back and forth, you can always use, get the fuck out of here with those crusty ass butt lips, because no matter what, they're gonna reflexively lick their lips, and it's the funniest thing to do no matter the condition they're in. If someone asks you out and you reject them and they end up calling you ugly, which apparently is a very normal and common reaction, just reply with, well, not even the ugly person wanted you. They're gonna end up trying to avoid and stay as far away from you as possible. It's great. Facts about cheating in relationships that are backed up by science. Cheating happens in every 3rd couple. The #1 reason given for cheating is no reason at all. It just happened. They were hot and I was bored. Statistically, Gen Z is the least loyal generation, but it's probably just because they're young and Gen Alpha will pass them up soon. But really, any person who's cheated before is 4 times more likely to cheat again, so just stay away from those kind of people. And the #1 sign your partner is cheating on you, ahead of a sudden change in their appearance, phone habits, or jealousy levels, is how intimate they are with you. A lot of people are going to assume there's going to be a big decrease because they're getting it from somewhere else, but an increase is a red flag as well because they feel the need to overcompensate. Here's some countries' most common dreams. So while Saudi Arabia and Iraq are dreaming about marriage, Japan is dreaming about their exes. Australia and New Zealand got some anxiety dreaming about their teeth falling out, while Fiji over there is just dreaming about peacocks. We got Pakistan and Sri Lanka dreaming about death, while Bhutan is dreaming about rainbows for some reason. While almost every single country here is having nightmares about snakes, Indonesia's keeping it real, being scared of pregnancy. South Africa's dreaming about money. Nigeria's dreaming about sex. And Greece is dreaming about hats. Of all things, hats. All these countries over here are so stressed out dreaming about their teeth falling out, and Iceland's just like, yeah, snow. By far my favorite thing on here though is just Albania dreaming about a single breast. Seems like South America has a pest problem. We got North America doing its thing, while the Bahamas dream about doves. Here's some conspiracy theories that I think have passed the level of theory and are true. Women's clothing is designed with little to no pockets for the sole purpose of selling more purses. High-end art is just a scheme to launder money and avoid taxes. Like this one here sold for $43 million. This one sold for $46 million. This one was $84 million. Someone actually paid $87 million for this. This has got to contribute to inflation in some way. Leaks that happen in the entertainment industry, like with movies, TV shows, video games, are done on purpose to gauge interest and get opinions before an official announcement. That little bit of dust that comes off the end of tissues when you pull them out of the box is specifically designed to get you to sneeze, that way you need more tissues. The government orchestrates their own conspiracy theories to get us distracted from actual problems. Here are 5 things humans just can't comprehend. Number 1, what consciousness actually is. Number 2, why gravity exists. We know it's there, but we don't know why. Number 3, infinity. We kinda get it, but it doesn't actually exist in this universe, so do we? Number 4 is what's outside of the universe. We know it's expanding, but into what? Number 5 is a new color. It's impossible. All the colors that exist already exist. You can't think of a new one. Here are 5 hacks that got me through college. You can get most of your textbooks for free by just going into Google and searching by file type. Personally, I've never understood the people that are like, oh, I need a physical copy of the book when Control F exists. It's a lifesaver. And make sure you browse that textbook before every lecture. At least skim through the introduction. That way when you walk into class, you at least have a little bit of context. And during those lectures, make sure you take notes. But to take the pressure off you from having to write super fast and make sure you don't miss anything, record the audio on your phone. It makes studying for exams so much easier. And before every single exam, take all the materials you have and rewrite it in a way that you would explain it. And even grab a friend and try explaining it to them. It's guaranteed to make sure you actually understand the material. But honestly, as long as you remember to sleep more than you study more than you socialize, and socialize as much as possible, you should be fine. When forks were first invented in 11th century Italy, it worried the religious leaders and was actually considered scandalous because God had already given humans natural forks. When basketball was first invented, the basket was a literal basket, okay? At every game, anytime a player scored a point, there would be somebody who would climb up on a ladder to retrieve the ball. Even when they got net baskets, they still had to go and get it. It took them 20 years to figure out that cutting a hole at the bottom might make the game a little bit more efficient. The Vikings used iron as a main ingredient in all their weapons, but it was a common practice to add animal bones to the mix because they believed that the spirit of the animal would make the weapon stronger. And they were kind of right, because the carbon from the bones mixed with the iron ended up making steel. So everybody's aware that cops are legally allowed to lie to you, right? They can lie about being a police officer. They can lie and say that a conversation is off the record when it really isn't. They can lie about their ability to get a warrant, or say that a witness identified you in a photo, or even that an accomplice of the crime confessed and said that you were a part of it. They can straight up say that your fingerprints and DNA were all over the evidence without having any of that, and worst of all, they could tell you that you'll get a lighter sentence for confessing, even if that deal isn't even on the table. So, moral of the story is don't trust cops and don't ever speak to them without a lawyer. So because it was recently revealed that the movie The Blind Side was complete BS and that the family didn't even actually adopt Michael and they cut him out of the movie profits entirely, I thought it might be interesting to go over what other Hollywood true stories were fake. Catch Me If You Can is not the true story of a real fake. Frank Abagnale didn't do anything that the movie said he did. He was still a con man, though, convincing Hollywood to make this fictional biography about himself, which honestly kind of just makes me like the movie more. The Greatest Showman portrayed P.T. Barnum as this great old guy just helping out the weirdos while singing a little song and dance, when in reality, he was a major douchebag that abused and profited off other people's work and abnormalities. And honestly, just any historical movie that Mel Gibson has worked on. Braveheart is full of inaccuracies. The Patriot shouldn't have been shown in school. And The Passion of the Christ has some shady source material. Did you guys know that the act of washing your hands isn't actually what gets them to be clean? It's not until you dry your hands that you actually wipe off all those germs. And I'm being so for real right now because so many people view drying your hands as a secondary option to washing them. That's disgusting. One of the worst things you can do is let your hands just air dry, or use one of those blowy things that just spreads everybody else's bacteria around. Even worse, wiping your hands on your dirty pants, leaving them damp. You're leaving up to 1,000 times more bacteria versus if you would just grab a clean towel. But honestly, over 80% of the population has admitted to not even washing their hands after using the bathroom, so I don't even know who this video is for. Not so fun facts to completely ruin your day. Tarantulas are able to swim. The global rate for people washing their hands after using the restroom is just under 20%. It's very common for people to have the urge to poop just before having a heart attack. People have different smells depending on if they're awake or asleep. Some early versions of inventions that we still use today. Apple's iPhone came out in 2007, and it was not the first smartphone. That title would be handed out a decade earlier to the Simon. Simon might not look like much, but I mean, come on guys. It has a touch screen, and it had all these features which blew people away in the 90s. In 1964, the first computer mouse was invented. It was made out of wood, had one button, and was able to go up and down as well as
left to right. None of those fancy 360 movements. I honestly want to see somebody try and game on this. You should be thankful for whatever pair of headphones you grew up with, okay? Because if you were around in the 1880s, your headphones would consist of covering one ear and weighing a literal 10 pounds. Let me know if you guys want me to do another one of these.
Here's some facts that I barely believed myself. France was still executing people with the guillotine when the first Star Wars movie came out. If we were able to shrink our solar system down to a tiny white blood cell, our Milky Way galaxy would be the size of the United States. Half of all the deaf schizophrenic people in the world hear voices in their head. Psychology tricks for your everyday life. Clumsy people are more likable. It's called the pratfall effect, and you should use it to your advantage. Instead of asking somebody, do you have any questions? You should say, what are your questions? This is gonna make somebody way more comfortable actually asking the questions. If you want a conversation to end but don't really know how to go about it without being rude, all you gotta say is, well, I won't keep you any longer. Have a good one, and then get the fuck out of there. Here's a nightly routine you can use to get the best sleep of your life. Remember the 3-2-1 method. No food 3 hours before sleep, no work 2 hours before sleep, and no screen time an hour before sleep. I like to start off by brain dumping into a journal with a specific candle lit while drinking a small cup of tea. Make sure your room is dark, your house is cold, and that your body is naked. And then you can use this military technique to fall asleep in just 2 minutes. You have to just take deep, slow breaths, relax everything from your face to your toes, and then just repeat a word or phrase like dream or don't move. And if you've been laying there for a while, have a bit of insomnia, a little trick is there's a pressure point behind your ear. It's going to be a little bit sore. Just rub that about 200 times. You're going to sleep so good. Here are 5 tattoos you didn't know the actual meaning of. First up, we got the laurel wreath. This is an ancient trophy tattoo that people get to remember their victories and show a little bit of self-love. Now, this colon tattoo represents the highs and lows that come with mania and depression, but I can't really guarantee that everybody that has it actually has bipolar. But if you see this symbol on a person, if you want to see them cry, get them to read out loud because they most definitely have dyslexia. Now, the chevron tattoo means that this person believes in the idea that you create your own reality. And finally, we got the Joker tattoo. Any sort of Joker tattoo means that this person has struggled with abandonment and lack of love. Now, they might try to argue back and say, no, they just like Batman. But they didn't get a Batman tattoo, did they? No, they got the Joker tattoo for a reason. Having sex burns about 4 calories a minute. Condoms are way more likely to break if you keep them in your wallet for more than a month. Sex toys are sold as novelty items. That way they don't have to be tested to make sure that they're safe to use, because there are just some things you don't want to test on animals. If you want to have a lucid dream tonight, you need to set an alarm for about 3.5 hours after you go to sleep. And when it goes off, you need to get up out of bed without looking at your phone in the dark, just walk around for about 3 minutes, and then you can go lay back down. And while on your back, you need to relax all of your muscles. And this is going to work because it allows your body to fall back asleep while keeping your mind awake. That way you're aware that you're dreaming. And if you want to learn how to remember these dreams and even understand what your subconscious is trying to tell you, you should check out my journal, Awaken, because I teach you how to do exactly that. Here are 5 tattoos you didn't know the actual meaning of. First up, we got the stars on the knees. This is a symbol that somebody won't kneel down to authority, even though it started as a Russian prison tat. The 2% tattoo doesn't have anything to do with a person's milk of choice, instead shows that somebody has beat their addiction, which statistically only 2% ever do. The Omni is a reminder that doing bad deeds doesn't necessarily mean you are pure evil and is seen as a protection against bad luck. If you've ever seen this symbol and been confused, it means God is greater than the highs and lows. But I personally find the variation of this, I am greater than the highs and lows, a little bit more inspiring. And then we have the semicolon tattoo. A lot of people know what this one means, but in case you don't, this is for people who have struggled with or know people that have struggled with depression, suicide, and ideation. Here are 3 dream signs you should never ignore, because dreams are literally just your brain doing a vibe check.
Any sort of pregnancy is a sign that there's something new and exciting going on in your life, and you need to put a lot more focus into it. Dreaming that your partner is cheating on you doesn't mean that your partner is cheating on you. It just means that there is a lack of trust you have for them, and that definitely needs to be addressed. And if you have a dream that just keeps repeating, this means that you're avoiding a problem that your brain really wants to let go of. And even though I know this, I'm still very confused why I have a reoccurring nightmare about the Muppets trying to kill me. And if you want to learn how to interpret your own dreams, you should definitely check out my new book, Awaken, over on TikTok Shop, because I teach you how to do exactly that. Within the first 5 seconds of meeting somebody new, you make a lasting impression based on how you look, how you sound, and what you say, and in that order. And you can judge a lot about a person's character based on what they laugh at. And never forget that people who are gossiping to you are most definitely gossiping about you. You know those chills you get when listening to music are caused by the brain releasing dopamine while anticipating the peak moment of a song. And it's been proven that listening to 5 or more songs a day can improve memory, strengthen your immune system, and reduce the risk of depression by over 80%. And your favorite song is probably your favorite song, not because you have amazing musical taste, but because you associate it with an emotional event. Could you imagine if it came out that this reality we live in was actually a simulation and all of those things we just shrug off every day were actually proof of lazy coding? Outer space not having any sound just feels a little too convenient. Or how half the population just admits to not having any sort of inner monologue. How am I supposed to believe that you actually think? Or like when you see a car or hear a word for the first time and suddenly you see that car and hear that word everywhere? You know what really scares me though is how when you're in a car you can barely stretch out your arms to either side, but a bus can fit 4 people plus an aisle and they both fit in the same street. And since nobody else is gonna say it, I will, okay? Too many things taste like chicken. Here are 3 dream signs you should never ignore because dreams are literally just your brain doing a vibe check. And if you want to learn how to interpret your own dreams, you should definitely check out my new book, Awaken, over on TikTok Shop because I teach you how to do exactly that. If you're dreaming about your normal, everyday life, you might be quick to think that there's no deeper meaning behind this, which you could be right. It might just be your brain processing the day, but you should first ask yourself how you feel about this boring dream, okay? Because that's going to be the quickest insight into your subconscious mind. If you're hanging out with a celebrity in your dream, you should stop and ask yourself, what does this person mean for me? What do they reflect back at me? Because whatever quality it is you like about this celebrity, you most likely like about yourself, and you wish you would get more recognition for it. If you're being chased in a dream, you should pay attention to what specifically is chasing you, because if it's a monster, it's probably just a manifestation of your own anxieties in your waking life. But if it's somebody that you know, you should think about your association to this person rather than the person themselves to figure out what it might mean. Did you know that the dog from Full House and the dog from Air Bud are actually the same dog? Or that the star of High School Musical and Jump In, Corbin Blue's Wikipedia page is available in 193 different languages, which means that it's the 3rd most translated Wikipedia page to exist, only beaten out by Jesus and Barack Obama himself. Speaking of which, does anybody remember how in 2011, before Obama was able to announce to the world that Osama bin Laden was dead, Keith Urban and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson heard it first from their reliable sources and tweeted about it? So do you guys know about that law where if there's a dog locked in a hot vehicle, you're able to break the window to save it? Well, apparently if that vehicle is an abandoned RV, you can't do shit. This has been parked in front of my neighbor's house for about 2 weeks. It does not start or run at all, and there's a bunch of parking tickets in the front of it. I don't know if you can see her very well, but there is a dog chained up inside of here. It's 82 degrees outside right now. I can't imagine how hot it is in there. The AC doesn't work, and the guy doesn't come often enough to refill the water bowl. We had to do that the last couple of days. Animal control is saying we can't really do anything because technically the RV is somebody's home. Though I know for a fact the guy's not living in here, and all the neighbors are scared to call the cops because she has been kind of aggressive, even though we're pretty sure she's just scared. Like, she doesn't get out. She shits and pisses all up in here. See what I mean? Does anybody have any advice on like what to do in this situation? We want to take her out, but I don't know anybody that's willing to foster her because she deserves so much better than this. Really weird human body facts that I can guarantee you didn't know. You can get a tan by eating a lot of sweet potatoes due to their high carotene content. Next time you have a stuffy nose, you could just have sex and it's gonna unblock it for you. You can prevent so much acne by just washing your face with hot water and then rinsing it with cold. 5 tattoos you didn't know the actual meaning of. First up, we got the Medusa. This is usually gotten by people who have survived SA, and I see a lot of ignorant comments on here saying, oh, the Medusa tattoo's overused. Yeah, that's the problem. Next up, we got the spiderweb tattoo on the elbow. This is used to represent how long an inmate served in prison, which I did not know when I got mine. I just thought it would look cool with the shattered glass. Do your research. Then we have the upside down pineapple. This is a symbol created by swingers for swingers to identify other swingers. Now you might already know that the phoenix means rebirth, but specifically it means somebody that has struggled with anger issues and feels like they overcame it. Then we have the safety pin with a heart going through it, and this indicates that somebody has a lot of childhood trauma, but I think the fact that you're getting tattoos in the first place kind of already says that.
You need to watch this because everybody is making fun of the Titan submersible for using a gaming controller when US nuclear submarines have been using Xbox controllers for years, okay? The controller itself is not the issue, but this might have been.
And it's meant for a 16-year-old to throw it around.
Sir, why are you throwing the controller around? It is $30. It's not durable. I can guarantee you have one of these things where the joystick just drifts the wrong way. If the passengers didn't already have enough of a reason to beat the CEO to death down there, just add that to the list. Because they got no GPS or a door. Doubt they got toilet paper. I think we all know by now that the best case scenario for them is that they imploded. Just straight up so fast.
Psychology tricks that you need to be aware of because somebody could easily use these to manipulate you. Mirroring is when body language is the same during conversation, and this happens naturally between people when there's a connection, but somebody can just fake that, making you subconsciously trust them more. And one of the best ways to get a person to tell the truth is to get them to laugh before asking the question. This brings their guard down and they're way less likely to bluff. And making sure somebody tells the whole truth really isn't that difficult. You just gotta maintain eye contact and stay quiet, because people hate the sound of silence. They usually fill this up by talking. Did you know that breakfast just means breaking your morning fast? Speaking of which, are you hungry? Did you know that babies are not allowed to drink water? Modern people are just living as mini kings. We have hot water whenever we want. We live in boxes with multiple rooms that have AC. We have these tiny machines that can take us anywhere we want to go. We can eat food from all over the world with very little difficulty, and we can talk to anybody at just the snap of a glass screen. Do you even know what I'm trying to say? Here are 5 tattoos you didn't know the actual meaning of. First up, we got the moth. This symbolizes transformation and always searching for the light in the dark, and I have that one. Next up, we got the butterfly. A lot of people just get butterflies, but the real meaning behind it is somebody has battled with self-harm. I also have that one. Then we got the La Lorena. If somebody has this, they most likely got cheated on. Anita is an acknowledgement for anybody and all who have an eating disorder, and then the fire rose, not this one, that one, usually means that somebody has gone through domestic violence. Now you have to remember that a lot of people get ink into their bodies permanently without doing any research, so if you see these on somebody, you can't automatically assume what it means for each individual person, but if you had to guess overall, at least, now you know. Let me know if y'all want more of these. There are 3 types of relationships in this world. The mirror. This person is going to reflect you back at you, especially the parts that need some healing, and they're not going to stay in your life for very long, okay? They're going to leave as soon as they awaken whatever they needed to in you. The window. This is the kind of person that's there to show you what's possible. They're very close to the kind of relationship you imagine for yourself, but not 100%, because it's a window. You can see all the things out there for you, but that doesn't mean you're going to climb through to get there. And then there's the door. This person is the opportunity that you actually end up stepping through. But the thing is, the door only opens once you've done the work on your own personal growth. You see, the door is the thing that everybody wants, but nobody can seem to find the key for. The warmer your room is, the harder it's going to be for you to fall asleep. But the colder it is, the more likely you are to have nightmares. People who play video games, especially before bed, tend to be way better at controlling their dreams. But when you do dream, one half of your brain is making it all up, while the other half is experiencing it and genuinely shocked by all the plots and twists. So if you really want to learn how to understand and control your dreams, I just came out with the journal Awaken, which is designed to help you do exactly that. You know, you can avoid having your nails fly all over the place by just making sure you clip them when they're wet, like after a shower or something. You're not getting free toe picks. Next time you're rolling up something with a long cord like this, leave a little bit of a loop on the device before you start like raveling it up, okay? Because a lot of people miss this step and then it unravels, gets tangled, whatever. You see that loop that I left? You just put this through and then you tighten it at the bottom. And it's not gonna come undone. A quick hack to make sure you're hanging something up the right way is to take a piece of tape and place it over the back of whatever is going up on the wall. And then put holes in where your nails are gonna go. Then just put that up on the wall where you're gonna hang it up. Drill the nails in or fucking screws into the wall. And then you're able to just place this thing up. Easy. I said easy. There we go. If you're dating somebody new, put a nicotine patch on them while they're sleeping. That way, if and when they leave, they have withdrawals and think that they're feeling this way because they're not around you. If you keep a baseball bat around and have to use it for self-defense, make sure you keep a glove and some balls around too. Your lawyer will thank you for this one. If you want to get out of work or school but you need a doctor's note, you have diarrhea. No doctor is going to specifically check, especially if you say that you had to use the bathroom every other hour or so. They're just going to give you the note. But bonus points if you say that somebody you know also has the stomach bug going around. And for good measure, you should probably use the bathroom while you're there at the doctor's office. And when you get back to work or school, they ask, like, what'd you have? Where'd you go? You can just tell them, and they're not going to have any follow-up questions. Are you actually self-aware? Because even if you think you are, the answer is probably not. Because according to research, over 95% of people believe that they're self-aware, when in reality, it's really about 10 to 15%. The best way to know if you've been living your life as a real playable character or just an NPC is to think about what kind of questions you ask yourself when you're being introspective, when you're trying to figure out you, okay? Do you ask why questions? Or do you ask what questions? Really take a second and think about this if you have to, okay? Because why questions will usually lead you down a spiral of assumptions and rationalizations and just made up answers that you end up stressing about, while what questions, more often than not, promote action and change. And that's really what sets these people apart and why those people are the unicorns. So now it's time for you to be honest. Here are 3 dream signs you should never ignore, because dreams are literally just your brain trying to do a vibe check. And if you want to learn how to interpret your own dreams, you should check out my book Awaken, because I designed it to help you do exactly that. Seeing your own face in a dream, like in a mirror or something, usually just means that you need a bit of self-reflection. Like there's something in your waking life that you don't quite fully understand, and your mind is literally forcing you to take a look at yourself. Now, if you're ever naked in a dream, this just tells me that you need to address whatever it is making you feel vulnerable. Because think about it, clothes metaphorically mean like protection and concealment. And if your brain is showing you without that, you should probably do something about it. Seeing your ex in a dream is a pretty common one, and if you just got out of the relationship, this is your brain trying to process any unresolved feelings you have. But if it's an ex from a while ago, it doesn't necessarily mean you miss them. This is just you like recognizing certain qualities about them, good or bad. And I don't care what TikTok tries to tell you, it does not mean that your ex is also dreaming about you. Here's exactly how to get yourself out of the friend zone. Stop being such a good friend. Like, if you're ever feeling stuck wondering if somebody's actually interested in you the way that you're interested in them, all you gotta do is stop making yourself so available. Just pull back for a second, okay? Go live your life and stop jumping every time they say jump. And when you do this, if they get a little worried, start hitting you up, wondering what happened, where'd you go, what you doing, what you been up to, that's a good sign. And if they don't, then you gotta accept that you're just a friend, but you also gotta remember that the friend zone is not a place that somebody puts you in. Most likely, you put yourself there, and you just gotta do better next time. Here are 3 dream signs you should never ignore, because dreams are literally just your brain doing a vibe check. Also, if you want to learn how to interpret your own dreams, I just came out with Awaken, which is a book designed to do exactly that. The sex dream. We've all had it, and it's always with somebody you least expect. You wake up and you're like, whoa, do I have feelings for this person? Probably not. This is actually just your subconscious showing you that you have a desire for some sort of quality that this person has, like a trait or behavior, rather than wanting them for their physical body. Now, having your teeth fall out in a dream usually means that you're experiencing high levels of stress and anxiety, usually around loss or a sudden change in your life, but it could also be your brain trying to awaken you to the fact that you have really low self-esteem. Flying is a fun one, but kind of rare because it only happens if you're in a happy mental state. Like, the only way you're going to experience this exhilarating dream outside of lucid dreaming, which I also talk about in my book, is if you're feeling genuinely confident in yourself. Did you know that the kind of person you're attracted to can tell me a lot about the kind of person you are? If you find yourself going after unpredictable people, you are chasing dopamine, and because you love this hit of adrenaline, you will really want something until you have it, and then you get bored. If you're attracted to your boss or people in positions of power, I hate to be the first person to tell you this, but you have some mommy and daddy issues. You want somebody that's going to tell you what to do because emotionally, you don't want any responsibility. If you're attracted to your friends' partners, stop thinking that your value comes from somebody else's validation, and you need to let go of this idea that getting with the theoretically hard thing to get is finally going to prove that you're worthy and lovable. I know some of y'all need to write that down. Psychology tricks that I know work because I use them. If you're talking to somebody at a party and you want their number, you can just straight up ask for it, that's fine. But if you want to be guaranteed to get it, take a picture with them and then ask or offer to send it. If you're having a conversation with a girl and you want her to be comfortable or think that it's going well, make sure that you face her like this. But if you're talking to a guy and you want him to be happy with the conversation, talk to him from the side like this. And if you're aware and make note of this next time you're in an argument with a partner or a friend, I promise it's going to stay way more civil and productive. Before you answer any phone call, smile. You're going to sound way happier to the person on the other end, and the talk is going to go way better than if you just say hello with a straight face. Lucid dreaming is when you become aware that you're in a dream. That way you can control what's happening, and it's very fun. You can actually get better at it, and here's how. So you actually need to build up your dream recall, because most people dream every single night, but they don't remember it because they never write it down. So I designed this book, Awaken, to help guide you to do just that. Link for this is in my bio, or you can just search up Dream Journal ONLYJAYUS on Amazon. Then you just need to start performing reality checks throughout the day. Literally, just pinch yourself. If you get in the habit of this throughout your waking life, you're going to start doing it in your dreams and realize that you're dreaming. What can also help you out a lot is to drink apple juice before you go to bed, because this will make your dreams way more vivid. And then as you're falling asleep, just repeat the phrase, I will control my dreams, because this is going to get your brain into the mindset of being aware as you fall asleep, and then you can do whatever you want. Get your mind out of the gutter. If you're the kind of person that picks fights with your friends or your partners, this is probably because your needs and wants weren't really heard or met with ease as a child, so you picked up these indirect ways to tell your caregiver what's going on, which is also known as protest behavior. If you freak out when people distance themselves from you, this is most likely because your parent would withdraw, be inconsistent, give you the silent treatment, or just use abandonment as a form of punishment, and now your body can't tell the difference between this perceived danger and healthy space. Now, if you get anxious whenever you feel like somebody is upset or might have to have a talk with you, this is most definitely because whenever there was anger in your household, you took on that responsibility and felt like you were expected to fix the adult's feelings. So now you just avoid that at all costs. Here's the secret to give everyone the impression that you won an argument, even if you didn't, okay? You got to remain calm. Don't really react to much. Just sit back quietly and observe and pretend that the person that's arguing with you is putting on a performance and finally showing you their true character. If you can do that, you've already won in most people's eyes, which leads to the next thing. Because if somebody starts insulting you, just show some genuine concern. Be like, hey man, are you okay? Which will throw a lot of people off, which is good, but a lot of people will just go into screaming at you, which then you can be like, damn, everything they say about you is true. Even if nobody has said anything about them, they're going to think about that for life, and you're put on top. There's not just early birds and night owls. There's actually 4 different chronotypes. So about 10% of the population are what we call dolphins. These people wake up really early, go to sleep really late, often diagnosed with insomnia, but these are the really creative, scatterbrained, and intelligent type of people. 15% of the population are what we call lions. These people wake up really early and are just ready to go. They hit the ground running, being super productive from the start, but they hit a big crash around noon. The other 15% of the population are what we call wolves. They hate the mornings. They're still productive, but just at night. And because of that, they're a little bit more introspective. Then we have the majority. 55% of people are bears. They sleep fine at night, they get up in the morning, they can kind of be productive, they're fine again at night, they get the full 8 hours, and you know what? I'm jealous. Also, you can check out Awaken over on Amazon. All you have to do is search up Dream Journal, ONLYJAYUS, it should pop up. If you have any sort of sleep issues, this is the book for you. In the 1600s, there was a philosophical question around the idea of if a blind person was able to distinguish different shapes like a sphere, cube, pyramid just by feeling it, if they could somehow get their sight restored, would they be able to know which one is which just by looking at it? And in 2003, we got our answer after 5 people who were born blind got their sight restored through surgery. Researchers put the same shapes that they were able to name with their hands alone, but now just looking at them, they had no clue what they were, which kind of makes sense, right? Like, they have no reference to what a flat versus a curved or just anything looks like. Like, you could show them this, but they're not going to know what it is until you actually get it in their hands and they'll be like, oh yeah, it's a measuring cup. They also have a lot of trouble understanding depth perception. Like, this just isn't a very small and large woman. They're actually standing at different distances than you, which is why almost all of them end up going to visual therapy so they can learn these things that most of us got before we could even hold up our own head. Here's how I make sure I have a productive morning. Every morning. First thing I do when I open my eyes is write down what my dream was about in the Awaken journal that I designed to help you understand your subconscious mind just a little bit more. And then I chug as much water as I possibly can. And then I make my bed, which I used to think was like a silly little detail that I could skip, but it actually helps a lot when it comes to falling asleep the next night. And then I'll stretch just a little bit so my body gets some movement in it before like a full workout a little bit later today. Now, the next step is really important, okay? You're going to do the hardest thing you have planned for that day first. It's called eating the frog. That way, the rest of the stuff you have to do doesn't seem that bad. You could go blind if your immune system ever figures out that your eyes exist, which means right now your immune system doesn't know that your eyes exist. You know these eye floaters that we get from time to time? Well, just before you're born, the arteries that were used to grow your eyes while you were a fetus disintegrate a little bit. Those don't just go away though, they become floaters in your eyeball that for some reason we're just able to still see when they come into our vision. Speaking of the blind, if they were born with sight and lost it later on in life, report that they can still see in their dreams because their brain still has to process stuff at night, but they remember how things looked and those just get intermeshed. And people who are born blind also have dreams, but they usually just dream in different sensations. Here are some signs that you're actually more attractive than you think you are. Children like to be around you, okay? Kids are the most shallow and brutally honest people in this world, so if you get along with them or if you just catch them looking at you a lot, it's probably because you got a nice energy and or face. The awkward eye contact you get with strangers is just off the charts. This is most likely because they think you're cute and you caught them looking. It's not that everybody around you is clumsy, tripping up over their feet and or words, okay? You're making them nervous. Stop being so handsome. People tend to think that you're stupid or shallow without actually even like getting to know you. In fact, a lot of people tend to have really strong opinions about you. And if most of the time people just tend to give you the benefit of the doubt, congratulations. I think I finally figured out what all the terms adults used to give me as a kid actually meant. You're lazy. Depressed. You're so mature. Traumatized. Why are you so quiet? Yelled at and ignored too many times and now sees any attempts at communication as pointless. You don't gotta be so sensitive. Neurodivergent and overstimulated. Just a tomboy. Gay. If you have a crush on somebody, do not do these things unless you want to completely kill your chances. I don't think you should talk about exes with romantic interest, but if the conversation of who you've dated in the past comes up, don't do the whole, oh, my ex was crazy, my ex was terrible commentary, because all that's going to do to another person is show where your standards are. They're not going to be as interested or think they have to try as hard because you've been with all these horrible people and they're great. As humans, it's natural to want to look at things that interest us, but with your crush, you got to be careful with this, okay? You shouldn't go out of your way to try and find them in the hallway or the cafeteria or at a party, okay? If it happens naturally, cool. But if you force it over and over and over again, they're going to pick up on this and feel smothered. I can already hear you being like, well, Jayus, if I can't see them in person all the time, I'll just stalk their social media to get my fix, right? Wrong! Do you know how weird it is when somebody knows everything about you, but you didn't tell them any of those things? They just found them out on their own? No, it's going to kill a real connection. Not so fun facts to completely ruin your day. Plushophilia is when somebody is physically attracted to and aroused by inanimate objects such as furniture. Like, babe, don't come out of the closet. I want you to be the closet. Hidden Valley Ranch is owned by Clorox. A vitamin D deficiency is enough to make a person suicidal. Not to diminish anything, okay? Y'all know me, but if you're ever in a dark place, before you do anything stupid, maybe go out in the sun or take a vitamin. Here's some career paths that you should probably avoid if you are mentally unwell because they have the highest rate of unaliving themselves. Pharmacists work long, stressful hours with very little thanks, and they're a lot more likely to have substance abuse issues. Farming is one of the most dangerous jobs in the world, and the fact that most farmers feed all of us on less than $20,000 a year is wild. Lawyers are 3 times more likely to have depression compared to any other profession, and the fact that 40% of law students already do have depression says a lot. Electricians are on this list because they think that being constantly around electromagnetic radiation can really mess with the brain chemistry. Real estate agents are completely dependent on the state of the economy, which is completely out of their control. Same thing with any sort of financial worker. Vets are constantly around suffering animals. Like, I don't think I could do this one. Police are 2 times more likely to have depression and sleep issues on top of whatever social pressures they think they face. Being a dentist is way more stressful than I think most people think. And at number 1, we got our medical doctors. Insane history facts that school just refuse to teach you. Learn about the continents, you learn about Antarctica. There's this giant place of ice. Well, scientists found out that there's actually a ton of land underneath all that ice. It's hypothesized that 90 million years ago, Antarctica actually used to be a lush rainforest. They're actually planning on drilling through the ice to get down there and see if this is true. People treat pigeons like sky rats nowadays, but for thousands of years, we domesticated these animals until we decided we didn't want them anymore. They used to be our friends. Well, they did teach us about Pompeii, right? This place where a volcano erupted, thousands of people died under the ash, and the remains were left for us to find. What they probably didn't tell you about is all of the graffiti that was left in the city, which is crazy, right? Like, why wouldn't they want to share what our ancient ancestors were trying to tell us? Well, that's because most of the writing, after translated, was just about sex. Like, take off your clothes, show me your hairy privates, Felix fucks like a god. There's a lot of misinformation in this world, so I'm here to clear some things up for you. If you throw a frog into a pot of boiling water, it'll jump out immediately. But if you put it into a pot of cool water and slowly warm it up, it won't notice. It's a good metaphor, but it's a fucking lie. The frog is gonna jump out when it feels uncomfortable, and if you throw it into a pot of boiling water, it's gonna die. There is no such thing as an alpha wolf in a pack of wolves. The person who made this claim came out and said that he was actually wrong, but nobody seems to care. And now we have men that think that they're the alpha male when alpha isn't even a real thing. I didn't really want to think that people actually believe this one, but I've heard it way too much recently. The whole vaccines cause autism bullshit. If we're being real with ourselves, if we're being honest, autism probably created vaccines because there is no way a neurotypical person thought outside the box like that. Did you know that the kind of person you're attracted to can tell me a lot about the kind of person you are? Like, if you usually go after people that are older than you, this is a big, bright, flashing neon sign that you have some unsatisfied needs from your childhood, like validation or love. But if you go after younger people, I'm going to assume that when you were a child, you took on a caregiver role, whether for your siblings or your parents, and that makes you feel needed. And if you find yourself falling for fictional characters, this could be because you idolize love, okay? You put it up on a pedestal instead of going after the real thing so you don't get hurt, which can seem harmless, right? But it's actually pretty toxic to yourself. Here's a fun little psychology trick, okay? Imagine you're alone walking down a dark alley and you see a figure appear. Which one of these 8 faces would that figure have to have for you to be the most afraid? Really think about it for a sec. People who chose 1. You have a very strong desire for control due to the way that people in power treated you growing up, but you deny this by putting on a very friendly and people-pleasing personality. People who chose 2. You are very kind, you are very sweet, but you are restraining yourself from feeling anger and acting on your impulses. People who chose 3. You have intrusive thoughts. Maybe we can even call it an overactive imagination, but you do prefer stability in your comfort zone over taking risks and making change. People who chose 4. You seem outgoing to everybody else, but on the inside, you actually have a really hard time connecting with people to the point that you might isolate and convince yourself that you don't need anybody. People who chose 5, you might like to think that you want to come across as this successful but humble person, but deep down you really do love the praise and being the center of attention. People who chose 6, you struggle a lot with self-doubt, but instead of wanting to work on that, you throw yourself into your social life or your work or maybe even like other people's problems and try to fix them instead of just fixing yourself. People who chose 7, you have a really hard time controlling your reactions to things, but at the same time, you hate being in drama and conflict. And to the people that chose 8, your biggest fear is being unlikable. And to combat this, you sacrifice your own individuality to try and be accepted by others. Did you know that the kind of person you're attracted to can tell me a lot about the kind of person you are? Like, if you're attracted to that typical bad girl, bad boy energy, this usually means that they have some sort of negative quality like arrogance, aggression, rebellion, that you also have but are repressing in yourself, and dating this kind of person would be liberating because you get to live out that personality through them. If you're attracted to toxic people, you might like to tell yourself that you don't like drama, but come on, okay? You probably experienced a lot of chaos in your childhood, so toxicity feels normal, while normal feels boring. Now, if you keep dating people that are less attractive than you, like people in your life are like, whoa, how's that abandonment one going, bud? Yeah, you're doing this because you think, oh, if I get with this person, they'll never leave me because I'm such a catch. Yeah, that's not how that works. So somebody insults you. They're trying to get under your skin. Here are 3 hacks that are not only going to make them look stupid, but feel it too. If somebody is going out of their way to insult you, don't insult them back. Don't dignify them with the response. Instead, try the stare down method where you just look at them with no emotion, maybe a little bit of confusion, but this shows that you don't give a fuck. 9 times out of 10, this is going to throw somebody off enough to stop, but if they don't, misinterpreting an insult can go one or 2 ways, okay? 1, you take it as a compliment, which is really going to confuse a person, or 2, you act confused. Really get them to explain what they're trying to say to the point that it doesn't even make sense when they're saying it anymore. And if all else fails, just agree with them. And I can already hear you being like, Bella, why would I agree with somebody that's insulting me? That is stupid, okay? I get it, but listen, you're going to agree and exaggerate because it makes people uncomfortable. If somebody's like, oh my God, do you never shut up? Be like, actually, no, I don't. My parents used to duct tape my mouth as a child just to get me to stop talking. Did you know that the kind of people you're attracted to can tell me so much about the kind of person you are? Like, if you go after that golden retriever energy, this could just mean that you like being in good company, you're normal, or it could mean you have some issues giving up control because you like to be the one making decisions. If you like jealous people, this usually just means that you like feeling wanted and protected, but it usually stems from some unmet needs in childhood around being taken care of. If you're attracted to people that are not attracted to you back, whether they've said no or they're emotionally unavailable, this usually means that you have commitment issues because it's easier to be in a relationship with a fantasy than an actual relationship, and you might have the unconscious belief that you have to fight for love because you don't deserve it. Dude, you have, like, the worst posture I've ever seen in my life. Oh, yeah, I guess it's just my bad habit. All you gotta do to fix that is pretend that your nipples are lasers and you're trying to shoot people in the head. Oh. Yeah. Okay, I guess I can see how this works. Yeah, that's... Oh my God, there's a wasp! Stop swatting at it. Do jazz hands instead. Jazz hands! You look like a maniac. Calm jazz hands. Use your fingertips. Did it fly away? Hey, I have a boner at a really inappropriate time. How do we get rid of it? Just hold your breath as long as you can. Okay. This girl's always getting boners. It's so weird. Since April Fool's Day is coming up, I thought I'd give you guys some pranks that you can actually do. Replace someone's valuable and oh so precious hand sanitizer with lube. Completely cover someone's bar of soap in the shower with clear nail polish, that way it doesn't lather and soap up.
If the person you're trying to prank uses Google Chrome, download this web extension called Encage and wait for the chaos to ensue. Let's say they Google something random like bananas, okay? It's gonna be normal, bam, Nicolas Cage. No matter what they search, it'll turn every image into Nicolas Cage, and the best part is you can actually hide it from the Chrome menu. That way it's harder to figure out what the fuck is going on. Put a sign that says gullible on the ceiling, take a picture of it, and then take it down. And whenever somebody's in that area, be like, hey, it says gullible on the ceiling. More than likely, they're gonna look up, bam, joke over, you got them. But if they're smart, they're going to be like, I'm not dumb. That's when you take a picture of it, but you don't actually take a picture of it. You just pull up the picture you took earlier, show them, they're going to look up and nothing's going to be there and it's going to be hilarious. In the middle of the night, swap the bowls with the plates and the plates with the cups and the knives with the forks and just wait for all the confusion to start. This one might get you disowned, but like, worth it. Take the lid off the shower drain and shove a plastic bag full of chocolate powder mix down. Put the lid back and just wait for somebody to take a shower and you're gonna just hear sounds of disgust when brown water starts rising. Find the most annoying song you can, turn the volume all the way up, okay? And when you finally get there, just mute it and then wait for somebody to come unmute it. It's gonna be great. Put some clear tape on the bottom of somebody's mouse. Use the snippy tool to take a screenshot of somebody's wallpaper, like that. And then change that to their actual wallpaper picture and make sure you recycle all of their actual icons.
Here's a little psychology hack to be instantly more attractive. Imagine me and you were talking and I'm listening to everything you're saying, but I'm kind of being like, wow, oh, nice, interesting, that's cool, tell me more about that. There's nothing wrong with this. It's a very friendly way of engaging in conversation, but it's showing that you're seeking something out from it, you know? You're reacting to everything they're saying, you're leaning in, and it shows that you're attracted, but it's not necessarily attractive. So the trick is to stay within your own energy. Just slow down a bit. Stay on your heels, like lean back away from the conversation. Still stay engaged, but don't like need as much from it, you know? If you do this, you're gonna be like a magnet, I promise. There's this psychological idea that you should probably know about because it applies to all humans that aren't aware of it, called the illusory truth effect. And it basically states that you can get the edge on somebody's entire belief system as long as you tell them something first. So if you go and tell somebody and go on about how bad a movie is, and then they go and hear somebody say like, oh, the movie's actually pretty good, they're just going to focus on the bad. Same if you go and tell somebody like, oh, this restaurant is really good, and then somebody else says that it's bad. They're just going to focus on the good because that's what they heard first. It's literally the idea that you will believe the first thing that you hear. Little extra fun fact, this is actually the entire idea behind conservatism and traditional values. I wish you luck with this new piece of information. Here's some dark psychology tricks that you need to be aware of because it's straight up manipulation. Insinuations, hinting that you know something without saying the thing that you know. It's a tactic that people use to string people along and control them. Like, have you ever met somebody that's like, hey, I gotta tell you something. You're like, okay, what? And they're like, nah, never mind. I don't know if I should say it. And you're like, no, wait, what? Don't do that. Don't fall into the trap. Instead, just be like, oh, okay. The silent treatment. This is when somebody punishes you because they can't communicate their own feelings. It's one of the most dehumanizing forms of psychological abuse, and the best way to combat this is to ignore it. If you do that, I promise you, they're not going to stay silent forever. The push and pull method is how shitty people get unsuspecting people to fall in love with them. It's when you give somebody a lot of attention until they get used to it, and then you take it away, and they're like, hey, what the heck? So you give it back, but not the full amount. You take it away, give it back, not the full amount. Give it away, take it back, give it away, take it back, but never the full amount you got in the beginning. And this, my friends, is also called love bombing. Let's talk about daddy issues really quick, okay? This is a term that's used when somebody has emotional or psychological issues stemming from a problematic or even absent relationship with their father. In women, this can look like a low self-esteem with a fear of abandonment, which can lead to a lot of self-sabotaging behaviors because they have both the distrust in men while simultaneously needing male validation. Daddy issues in men look very similar with just a few key differences, okay? So they still have a fear of abandonment, distrusting other men, and needing that external validation, but they usually seek it out from people in places of authority, and they also have a lot of intimacy issues, forming close bonds with other people because they tend to have anger and aggression issues. Now, there are a few ways that you can go about fixing your daddy issues, but this usually involves a lot of shadow work and healing your inner child that a lot of people just aren't willing to do. Let's talk about mommy issues really quick, okay? This is a term that comes from when somebody has emotional or psychological problems stemming from a dysfunctional relationship with their mother. And if you have mommy issues, this can really disrupt when you try to form romantic or even platonic relationships in your adult life. Now, in men, this can look like somebody who is emotionally distant. They have a hard time expressing their feelings. They can be controlling or possessive because they have a fear of losing people and just hold on to them a little bit too tight. And it can also just be that this man has a hard time trusting women, especially women who have authority. Now, women with mommy issues usually have a lot of insecurities, low self-esteem, and some sort of fear of abandonment, which causes them to go and seek out maternal validation from people who are not their mother, people like bosses, teachers, maybe a friend's mom, but at the same time, they also have a really hard time trusting women, which leads to a lot of rejection. Now, there are a lot of ways that you can go about fixing mommy issues, but this involves a lot of shadow work and healing your inner child that most people just aren't willing to do. This is Helen Hulick, a kindergarten teacher who in 1938 was a witness to a burglary, but the judge ended up sentencing her to 5 days in jail because she wore pants in the courtroom. Hulick arrived in downtown LA to give her testimony against the 2 burglary suspects when courtroom drama quickly shifted to the fact that she was wearing slacks. Judge Arthur S. Guerin rescheduled the hearing and ordered Helen to wear a dress next time. She responded by saying, "You tell that judge I will stand by my rights. If he orders me to wear a dress, I won't do it. I like my slacks. They're comfortable." And she showed up to court 5 days later just like she said she would. The judge once again rescheduled the hearing, ordering Helen to show up in an accepted dress, and if she refused, she was going to be prevented from testifying because it was hindering the administration of justice. Helen argued, saying that she's worn slacks since she was 15 years old, she doesn't own any dresses besides formal wear, and that she will show up tomorrow wearing slacks even if he does put me in jail, because hopefully it'll forever free women from this anti-slackism. Which is exactly what happened. She was sent to jail, forced to wear a denim prison dress, while her lawyer, along with the help of hundreds of letters sent in protest, got the rule changed and she was free to wear slacks in court. And this is the best part, because after her appeal was won, point was made, she went to court a couple months later wearing a dress on her own terms. Here are 5 foods making you more anxious than you need to be. Toast, especially white bread, because the highly processed flour gets quickly turned into blood sugar, which can cause energy spikes and crashes, which is not great for anxiety. Coffee seems like an obvious one, but so many people drink it anyway. The way it makes your body feel contributes to that nervous feeling, and it can mess up your sleep, which is not going to be helpful for your anxiety or depression. Ketchup is just tomatoes, right? Wrong. There is so much sugar in this, about 4 grams per tablespoon, which is going to be making your heart pump and you feel things that you probably don't want to feel. Frosting is not just sugar. This has about 5 grams of trans fats per serving, which is linked directly to anxiety. The fiber in whole fruit fills you up and slows down how your body takes in energy, but without that fiber, you're just drinking nutritious sugar water that's going to quickly hype you up and bring you down just as fast. When I get into a depressive rut, the one thing that really helps me is completely forgetting about the way that people are supposed to do things. Like when I start having body image issues, I just shower in the dark. When I don't have enough energy to make a sandwich, I'll just eat the components of a sandwich straight out of the fridge. When my insomnia gets really bad and I can't fall asleep, I'll just put my head where my feet are supposed to go and pass out almost instantly. You can apply this little trick to almost everything in your life. If you guys want more examples of how I do this, just let me know for a part 2. Want to know how to be more attractive over text? Don't take yourself too seriously. When people pick up on those vibes, it's not gonna be great for you. Plus, the best way to get to know somebody is to just treat them like a friend rather than some potential romantic interest. Instead of starting a conversation off with, "Hey, hi, how are you? What are you doing?" Just send them something that reminds you of them. People love talking about themselves, and it might even start your guys' own inside joke. Double check your grammar before you hit send. I'm serious about this one. Don't be the person that responds right away every single time, but also don't be the person that waits a few hours on purpose just to send a text back. Change it up a little bit. It's going to keep the momentum way more natural. Send a voice message every now and then. Let somebody hear what you sound like. It's so much more personal, and I swear anytime a girl sends me an audio clip, I listen to that thing 15 times. It's so much more hot than a giant paragraph. If you have a crush on somebody, do not do these things unless you just want to completely kill your chances. Do not go and tell your friends that you have a crush on this person, especially if nothing between you and this person has happened yet, okay? We know it's exciting to talk about your crush with your friends, but there's going to come a point where your friends are asking for updates when you don't have an update. So you're going to feel this pressure to push the relationship forward for the sake of the plot rather than in a natural way, and it's not going to work. Don't go and do that thing where you take back an offer. You know, when you invite somebody out, but then you follow it up with, "Oh, but it's fine if you don't want to." That just shows that you're not confident and it's going to make you less attractive. Do not, under any circumstances, ask your crush why they didn't text you back. All they're going to think is, damn, why does this person care so much? And people got shit going on. It's probably not about you at all. Don't even, worry about it, okay? But if it's, consistent not texting back, maybe just take the hint. Tech hacks. Just like you can recover deleted photos, you can also recover deleted text messages. All you gotta do is hit that edit button in the messages, then show recently deleted, and they'll all pop up right there. When you go and follow somebody and it gives you a bunch of recommended accounts that you should probably also go and follow, these are the people that account is most interacting with. Go and look at their following and all the mutuals you guys have together. Those are the accounts that are most interacting with that account. You can listen in on people's conversations while you're out of the room by just using the Live Listens AirPod trick, because you can't trust a cheater or their friends to tell you the truth. Make sure you have some AirPods connected, then hit that little ear button, Live Listen, and then all you gotta do is leave an AirPod in the room you want to listen in on and put the other AirPod in your ear. So how many people did you cheat on Bella with this week? Oh, JS, my partner would never cheat on me. They say they love me and I have their passwords and location and I've met their family and we're planning a future together. Rookie mistake, okay? If a cheater wants to cheat, they're going to. You can't stop them, but you can figure it out a whole lot sooner with these. If they lean forward towards you in conversation, this is a sign that somebody likes you, and if you like them, you should make a move. But if somebody suddenly glances sideways or squints, this is a sign that they're confused or annoyed with what was just said. And if somebody crosses their arms, they're uncomfortable, even if it's just on a subconscious level, and you can actually try and help them not feel this way anymore, make that feeling go away, by just shifting your body language slightly away from them and waiting to see. All it takes to avoid having others smell your nasty coffee breath is to just drink water afterwards. I promise you, the difference is night and day. You should always wash your clothes with cold water and not hot. There's no reason for it. Your detergent doesn't need it. It deteriorates your clothes faster, and the energy consumption is not worth it for your wallet or the environment. Next time you go to defrost your windshield, just make sure that these visors are down, because it's going to trap all of the air here, making it defrost so much faster. If you have a scar on your body, it might seem healed and dormant, but it actually needs constant regeneration to stay sealed. And if your body becomes too low on vitamin C, your scars could actually open back up. Every single year, more people are killed by excessive masturbation than they are sharks. I don't believe Hershey's is enough to do it, but snorting chocolate is fatal. Animal facts you didn't want to know. Bears have been known to give each other oral sex. Hippopotamuses have pink milk. The sex hormones of a cat underneath a microscope is almost identical to a plastic bag. And because of this, cats tend to get really excited around plastic bags because it smells like cat sex. Penguins love rocks. Like it's their whole love language. To the point that some penguins will steal rocks from others and even prostitute out their bodies for a precious fucking rock. Because of the sheer amount of speed and force that a dolphin ejaculates at, it's been hypothesized that if a dolphin was to finish inside of a human being, it would just completely explode all the organs inside. Do you avoid eye contact? Are you constantly checking out how you look? Do you just never disagree with people? Do you gravitate towards the back of the room? Or say as little as possible? Well, my good friend, these are what we call restrictive safety behaviors, and it means that you most likely have social anxiety. And a recent study just came out showing that these behaviors can make people secretly hate you. So basically, somebody with social anxiety doesn't really want to share much about themselves because they feel like they're going to be judged harshly because of how much they judge themselves with the shame and the self-loathing. So they put on more of a rehearsal when talking to people, but from the other side, they just view it as you being disingenuous and not authentic, making you less likable. This study hurts my fucking soul. So some global scientists came together and wrote out what they think are going to be the most threatening issues of 2023. Let's go through it. Number 10 is water. Some people aren't going to have enough, and other people are going to have way too much. It's going to put some stress on agriculture and probably displace a lot of people from their homes. Number 9 is TikTok. Millennials and Gen Z are far more progressive than any other generation we've seen before, and with the power of the internet and using that for activism, there's been a big scare in people of power. And if so, that they're still trying to ban the app. Number 8 is America. We're so divided, but it's ranked so low because experts aren't really too panicked about it. The majority of Americans are somewhere in the middle rather than on the really loud extremes. And all those insurrectionist politicians got voted out, so no constitutional crisis here. Yet. At number 7, we got stunted global development. The last 50 years have seen a lot of growth in terms of education, healthcare, and safety, but the middle class is shrinking just as fast as it appeared. And experts say in the almost 3 years it's been since the pandemic that we've gone backwards in human development about 5 years. Number 6 is going to be energy. Europe isn't buying Russia's oil anymore, and they're not going to. And this is driving up prices on a global scale. That and gas companies just blatantly overcharging us. Number 5 is Iran. They were full of demonstrations after the morality police murdered Mahsa Amini. And ever since, the women there have been fighting for their liberation. But the government isn't listening to the words of their people and instead just blaming America. And the president directly helping Putin invade Ukraine is just the extra added layer of what the Number 4 is inflation. Quarantine stopped the economy, and when it started again, some parts were allowed to operate before others. So when people were finally ready to spend money, they couldn't because of supply chain disruptions. They're saying that prices are going to continue to go up, and it's rich countries that are probably going to be okay, but these poorer countries are most likely going to be on the brink of collapse. Number 3 is misinformation. Now, it's not the intention of social media or these AI tools to make people believe in conspiracy theories, but it is the unintended consequence of the business model. And because of this, the whole democracy thing is being questioned not just in the United States, but around the whole world. Number 2 is the fact that Xi Jinping has gotten rid of term limits and made it to where he is the leader of China for life. He has surrounded himself with Communist Party yes-men and even kicked out the previous president. This isn't even how China was ran just 10 years ago, and the chances of this going down a dark path are very high. At number 1, we got Russia going rogue. Putin is completely isolated and shut them off from the rest of the world, while they're completely losing the war that they started. They're seen as war criminals, but they're not going anywhere. Nobody's gonna kick Putin out of office. They have the most nuclear warheads out of anybody in the world. Because of this, NATO is consolidating and tensions are high. If you have a sweater that's really staticky, take a metal safety pin and put it on the inside where nobody can see it. This is going to collect the static and prevent it from building up throughout the day. You do not need to buy some crazy chemical to kill ants. All you need to do is fill up a spray bottle with 3 parts water, 1 part salt. It's gonna do the trick perfectly fine, I promise you. If you put a tablespoon of vanilla extract into your paint before going up onto the walls, it's not gonna affect the color, but it'll make the whole room smell like cookies. My therapist told me something the other day that I think more people need to hear, and that is that anger, most of the time, is a secondary emotion. And usually you're feeling a primary emotion, but shoving that down because it's harder to articulate. And that's because anger is the part of you that loves yourself. It's fighting for yourself. It knows that there's been mistreatment and that you deserve better, but still, it's not what you're actually feeling. The same way you cannot see your reflection in boiling water is the same way you can't see the truth when you're in a rage. The water needs to settle down for there to be clarity. So the little technique she gave me to try that you can too is called anything but anger, because I am always angry, apparently. She says it's because I grew up with an angry man in my house, but I live alone now, which means it's time to start digging deeper and see what we're actually feeling in here.
I think we should break up. Okay. You're just gonna say okay? What do you expect me to say? I don't know, maybe ask why? Why? Do you already know? You already seem to know why, and that's enough reason for me. Why would I want to continue a relationship with somebody who's already made up their mind about not continuing a relationship with me? What if my mind isn't fully made up? I don't know, I thought maybe you would want to talk about it. And then what? Be okay? Maybe? Don't you want to be in a relationship with me? You're acting like you don't care. We can talk about it all you want, but the reality is you're unhappy, and I'm unhappy knowing that, and doing more of the same isn't going to change anything. You already made the decision to break up with me, and the universe is going to make that happen no matter if we keep talking about it or just accept it. Is that what you think? What do you think?
If somebody is blinking a lot in conversation with you, this is a sign that they're thinking about something, possibly evaluating you. If somebody ever touches their neck, this is a signal that they're stressed out and want you to continue saying whatever it is you were saying. If somebody ever touches their forehead or blocks their eye line, they are ashamed of what you just said. They might disagree. They might even be uncomfortable continuing talking to you.
Hi there. You happen to know.
Welcome to all of us. How are you? Good? Glad to hear. What do I know? What don't I know? Have you seen our deals today? Also, are you aware of the fact that the majority of people believe God is a man? Every natural law we have says that females are the ones that create life. All asexual beings are females. Most likely, if God is God, they're not binary. All of us, stop and think. Netflix has officially cracked down on you being able to share your password to your account that you pay for with anybody in your life. If you're using a Netflix account of your parents, your friends, maybe an ex, and you don't live in the same household that Netflix account is originating from, they're making it to where you have to log into your Netflix account with the Wi-Fi account every 31 days. And if it doesn't match up, you're gonna get banned from the platform. I see two possible solutions with this. On day 30, you log the fuck out of that Netflix account and pray to God you can log back in on day 1, which is probably not gonna be the case. Or 2, we just stop giving our money to Netflix. Hulu's got some pretty good shows. Small talk is stupid and boring, and if another person asks me what I like to do for fun, I'm gonna lose my shit for fun. Okay, so here's some better questions to have more meaningful conversations. Just dive headfirst in and ask somebody what their biggest regret is. You're gonna learn a lot. On the flip side, ask somebody what the most hurtful thing somebody's ever said to them was. Shit gets dark. Would your 13-year-old self like who you are right now? Mine wouldn't. I was holding on to some deep internalized homophobia. If money wasn't a factor in anything, what would you be doing? My all-time favorite question to ask is, what is something people assume about you that isn't true, but you wish was? Gives you a really big insight on how this person views themselves. Tell someone that you switched all the contacts around in their phone, but don't actually do it. Take a couple of tiny helium balloons and put them inside of a toilet. That way, when somebody opens up the lid, the little floating balloon slowly rises up and gently startles your victim. Take a bunch of harmonicas and duct tape them to the underside of somebody's car. That way, when somebody's driving, they'll hear a really strange noise that cars are not supposed to make. Here are some kids' toys that got banned for being too dangerous. This toy, called a Jibba Jabber. The object of this toy was to beat it up. It was pulled from the shelves after being linked to making kids want to strangle each other. Pokemon and Burger King partnered up and made these tiny keychain Pokeballs with no holes in it for like a child to breathe that might try to eat the toy, because that's what kids do. They just eat tiny things. Kids fucking died from these. Moon shoes were like these half buckets with rubber bands and Velcro to keep your feet attached to them. And it was capable of launching a child like feet into the air. So many kids broke their ankles and cracked their skulls because of these. I remember I got them for Christmas and then my parents immediately took them away. This Quick Click Polly Pocket set were tiny pieces of plastic with magnets embedded into them. Sounds yummy and definitely not like we're taking the trip to the hospital. When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. Life didn't give us lemons. They are not a naturally occurring fruit. Unlike you. They came to be when somebody cross-pollinated an orange with a citron. We gave life to lemons. Hey, you're not supposed to feel your organs? Your organs have nerve tissue, so you should be able to feel them technically, like, especially if there's pain. But because you've been in your body for longer than you can remember, you should be used to it. Like, astronauts, when they come back to Earth's gravity, feel a lot of nausea and discomfort because they can feel their organs again. What would happen if you were allergic to yourself? Well, this would be an autoimmune disease where your body, doesn't recognize your body, so it attacks it. This allergy to yourself can affect all of you, your skin, lungs, stomach, heart, or brain. And I make other people allergic to me? Okay. It's out of your control and extremely rare, but yes, it is possible for you to be allergic to somebody else or for somebody else to be allergic to you. Your skin, hair, spit, and other fluids could all cause a reaction for somebody else. The food pyramid is a scam. In the late 80s, early 90s, food scientists came together to try and figure out what would be the optimal diet for a human being. But the results were not in line with what the big food corporations wanted to sell us, so they changed the science. They completely changed around the whole idea of what we should be eating. The original recommended 5 to 9 servings of fruit and vegetables a day, but that got changed to just 2 or 3. The original said 3 to 4 servings of whole grain, but cereal companies especially changed that to 6 to 11 servings per day, completely changing out what the foundation of the pyramid looks like. You know, when the original dairy wasn't even its own section at all? They added it in there though to make people think that it's necessary for a balanced diet. The original creator of the food pyramid has gone on record saying that it's clear that her design was just sold to the highest bidder because she does not recognize what it's turned into. And then we sit around and wonder why Americans get so sick. Here's some things you can do with your body after you die that seem way cooler than being forced to wear formal wear in a box for eternity. You can become electricity. You just gotta make sure that somebody takes you to a crematorium that's able to convert the excess heat coming off your corpse into power. Your body alone would generate enough kilowatts to power 1,500 televisions for an hour. For just $120 a month plus $200,000, you can cryogenically freeze your body. Just for the hopes that one day humans will have the technology to bring you back to life. Like, you want to go through this again. If you're looking for a more budget-friendly option for just $99.95, you can float 30,000 feet up in the air by putting your ashes in a biodegradable balloon until it floats high enough that it freezes and pops, and your ashes are just scattered across the ozone layer that we all breathe. Go and text somebody that you have absolutely no plans with and ask them what their ETA is. Just add a little bit of panic into their routine for fun. Take a sticky note and write down, "Sorry, I scratched your car." No name, no phone number, nothing else. And then go put that on a car that you did not scratch. They're going to be freaking out all day. If you ever have two friends meeting each other for the first time, make sure you tell each of them separately that the other one is hard of hearing, so they're going to have to talk pretty loud. You're going to end up with two people just politely screaming at each other.
I'll do a wraparound. We'll wrap around.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Kinda. I'm actually fine with it. Your coffee is already infested with cockroaches. There's no better way to say this. Like, when your coffee beans get grounded up, there's most definitely cockroaches already in there. This is why when people become allergic to coffee, they also develop an allergy to cockroaches. Like, the cockroaches that crawled up in your drink probably were just smelling their brothers and sisters, looking for them. You know, if you're drinking coffee, you just have to be okay with the fact that you're also drinking cockroaches. You sound kind of stuffy, and I just wanted to let you know that if you lay the nostril you can breathe through towards the pillow, the one that's blocked will clear in just a couple of minutes. How did you get in my room? Damn it! Fuck you! Why are you binging me? It's supposed to be a distraction from the toe pain. Hey, what's wrong with you? I have the worst headache. Have you tried masturbating? Why would I do that? I'm just saying, it'll help. Facts that I wish I didn't know. When Gerardo Mendina turned 18 years old, his mom, Lena, was 23, meaning she had her son at just 5 years old, making her the youngest mother ever. Sudden adult death syndrome is the thing, where your heart just stops seemingly for no reason, like a cardiac arrest, except no cardiac arrest can be detected. So dementia is what they say when there's symptoms of a decline in thinking skills and memory loss, and Alzheimer's is the disease that can cause it. And signs that you might grow up and have this can be detected as early as 3 years old. Not just that though, the symptoms too. Alzheimer's and dementia in children exists, meaning that anybody at any age can completely lose their mind and become a husk of themselves. The Egyptians' love for cats is so strong that it actually cost them winning a war. This is because the Persians tied cats to their shields, and there was just no way that they were going to take a sword and fight essentially their gods. The American bison is the only animal whose lungs aren't separated. They share one capacity, which explains why these huge animals were able to be so easily killed with such a small weapon. One arrow to the lung and both would collapse and they would suffocate pretty quickly. Rescue dogs on 9/11 were sent into the wreckage to try and find survivors. But every person that they found was already dead, and the dogs were getting like visibly depressed by this, thinking that they weren't doing a good job. The handlers noticed this and would go and pretend to hide in the rubble. That way when the dog finally found somebody who was alive, it would boost the morale a little bit. So there was a little experiment done where they put different brands of AA batteries inside of a flashlight to see which one would last the longest. And it turns out that not all batteries are created equal. So the worst brand you could possibly buy are these yellow packaged Panasonic batteries. They only lasted 2 hours in the flashlight. Lasting only 2.5 hours were these Rayovac high energy batteries. The black Panasonics lasted around 3 hours. These Ever Ready Golds weren't all that ready, only lasting about 3.5 hours. Sunbeam came in at 4.5 hours. The CVS brand batteries lasted 5 hours exactly, while the Energizer Bunny batteries lasted 5 hours and 15 minutes. The Rite Aid Home brand lasted 5.5 hours. Costco's Kirkland batteries lasted about 5 hours 45 minutes, but lasting 6 hours and taking the trophy as the world's longest lasting battery is Duracell. I mean, like, why waste your money with any of these other brands, you know? You can mute your microwave by just holding down the 2 button for a couple of seconds. That way you can make food in the middle of the night without waking anybody up. So whenever you guys are making pasta or something, instead of like struggling to pour this through the strainer holding both, you can just put the strainer in the pot. Easy. Next time you go to grate cheese, don't go like this, because it's frustrating and you're just gonna make a mess. Instead, turn the grater onto its side. The grater will catch all the cheese inside of there for you. Oh. 80% of what we perceive as taste actually comes from smell. Sweet, sour, salty, bitter, all sensations that you've experienced on your tongue, but the actual specifics of a flavor come from the nose. That's why these air up bottles work so well at changing the flavor of water without changing the water at all. These little pods have so much smell in them that when you pop them on and then pop it up for it to work, your brain perceives it as the water changing flavor when it's really just flavored air. I've been drinking so much water since getting one of these and it feels great. So if you're interested in trying Air Up for yourself, just click the link in my bio. Here's some things you can do with your body after you die that seem way cooler than just being put into a box into the ground. For just $250, you can get your ashes put into tattoo ink for somebody else to get you in their body. You can also get put into a firework for about $1,000. I considered this one for a long time until I realized that everybody on the ground watching would just be like, inhaling me. You can get yourself turned into a diamond for just $3,000. Or for $4,000, a vinyl record and just become like the most ultimate playlist. For about $5,000, you can become a coral reef and grow into a thriving ecosystem for a community down below the sea. For just $10,000, they can put your body inside one of these tree pods and you can grow into a tree. My personal favorite is the $12,000 option of getting your ashes sent to the moon. Before you're like, no, Jayus, that's too expensive, just remember that the average cost of a funeral is $9,000. It's possible that your best friend might not consider you their best friend. You're not as nice as you think you are. Like, you're most definitely the villain in somebody else's story. Finding love isn't guaranteed in this life, and it's quite possible that the person that you might fall in love with one day in the future is in love with somebody else right now. So there's a few different levels and different body language tells to see if someone doesn't like you. Level 1 is contempt. Somebody in the early stages of disliking you is going to show a lot of micro expressions that'll break the mask they're trying to wear. Be a lot of like drifting eye contact, a lower lip curl, and definitely a downward flick of the eyebrows. Level 2 is annoyance. If somebody's made it to this stage, their head might face you in conversation, but the rest of their body won't. And they're gonna answer your questions with questions, but not like get to know you questions, like shut the conversation down questions. And when you talk to them, they're gonna raise their eyebrows, which is usually a good sign, but mixed with a lip press and a sarcastic head nod. Level 3 is hatred. If somebody hates you, you should know, but a lot of people are bad at being upfront with their words, so you'll notice that this person's like really expressive when talking to other people, but then when they get to you, it's just a dead, cold pin, intimidating stare, maybe even hiding their lips a little bit, but you might not even get that. A lot of people just like to act like you're not there and avoid eye contact. You want to give off psychopath vibes? Say high five to someone. Hey, good job. High five. Hey, thanks. But don't lift up your hand. When you're next to somebody at a stoplight, gesture to them to roll down their window, but as soon as they do, roll yours up and carry on. Correct someone on the pronunciation of your name, even if they're saying it right. Hey, good to meet you. My name's Isabella.
Oh, hi, Isabella.
Yeah, Isabella.
Isabella?
Isabella.
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 Isabella?
Isabella. Facts that I wish I didn't know. When you die, the last thing to go is your hearing. So as all your other mortal sensations are leaving this world, the last thing you're ever going to experience are the sounds going on around you, which very well could be like your family members crying or cheering. By the year 2050, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish. When pigs get a cold, like a cough, very often they will shoot their intestines out of their anus, and farmers have to, like, stuff it back in. If somebody ever says that they're not really looking for anything right now, they just want to be friends, thank them for saying it first. Be like, yeah, I really didn't want to, like, hurt you because you're not the kind of person that I would usually date. Get ready for a chase. Anytime somebody really upsets you, just delete one letter from their contact name. Eventually, they're gonna hangman themselves. If somebody ever spreads the rumor that they had sex with you, don't deny it, because the ball is now in your court. Anybody who asks, just tell them how bad they were at it. All the weird fetishes they want to try, how they kept calling you by their mom's name, and how they shit right as they, I had to actually do this one once, and it feels so good to beat a liar at their own game. I have always despised the whole glass half empty, glass half full debate because there's a clear answer here, and it's about initial conditions. This glass is empty. This glass is full. Half full, half empty. Anybody who argues otherwise isn't paying attention, and this isn't about water.
Do you know what the leading cause of death for pregnant people is?
Pregnant people?
Murder. They didn't even answer it in that video. They went on to argue about the right way to refer to a pregnant person. But I thought you guys should know anyway that if you ever get pregnant, the #1 leading cause of death doesn't have anything to do with being pregnant or giving birth and all the issues that can arise from that. It's literally the danger of someone killing you. Turns out that you didn't just grow up and acquire a newfound taste and fondness for Brussels sprouts. It wasn't just that your mom was cooking them wrong. Since the 90s, breeders have been cross-pollinating different variations of Brussels sprouts to get rid of a specific chemical that makes them bitter. Meaning that the Brussels sprouts that we have today taste completely different than the ones that we had just 20, 30 years ago. Like when you were a kid and you didn't like Brussels sprouts, that was valid. We've changed them. Here's some things we all know that are wrong. Twinkies don't last forever. They're primarily flour and sugar, so they have a 45-day shelf life. Feeding rice to pigeons is not gonna make them explode. They don't have enough moisture in their bodies or produce enough heat for this to happen. Dogs don't sweat by panting. They do this to cool down, but they're mammals. They have sweat glands and they mostly sweat through their paws. The United States is not a democracy in the sense that the people vote for laws. Instead, the people vote for other people that vote for laws, which is why we're ranked number 17 out of all the countries in terms of freedom. Humans have more than 5 senses, like a lot more. There's a bunch of scientific terms for it, but there's the sense of hunger, thirst, balance, pain, mental distress, the sense of self. That feels pretty human. Okay, so a couple signs a guy's attracted to you is when he's talking to you, he's gonna touch his chin, his beard, whatever, because it brings attention to his face. When he's listening to you, he's also gonna have his lips like slightly parted, smiling hopefully. He's also gonna do these like half blinks because he's really focusing in on what he's looking at, and his nostrils might even like flare a little bit. And you're gonna notice that his shoulder, like one of them's gonna drop down towards you. Some signs a girl likes you is she's gonna try and steal glances, hold eye contact for a sec, and then look away. And like looking away or up is but looking down is really good. She also is going to have a really irregular blinking pattern. She's going to be blinking like crazy. She might even touch her jewelry or her hair because it's a soothing behavior, but it also brings attention to the face. And when she's listening to you or looking at you, she might raise her eyebrows a little bit. And it's a really good sign if when she's talking to you, she has her head turned a little bit. The best foods you need to be eating next time you get sick. Garlic has been shown to reduce the severity of cold and flu symptoms, and if eaten regularly, it can decrease the number of sick days you overall have. Just make sure you eat it raw. Speaking of raw, honey has so many antibacterial properties, and it's the best way to soothe a sore throat. Same thing with lemons, okay? These things are also packed with vitamin C. Just Onions are also a great way to clear out your sinuses. You don't even necessarily have to eat it, you just have to cut it up. Watch the magic work. But by far, the best thing to eat when you're sick, some spicy food. I get chilies, this is like the hottest that I can handle, but like, just do it. Here are some scientifically proven ways to improve your mental health. First thing when you wake up in the morning, avoid looking at your cell phone. Make your fucking bed instead. Drink a goddamn glass of water. You're human, you need it. And write all of your intentions for the day down. Meditate, even if it's just for 10 fucking minutes. Stretch, work out, just move your body in some way. Go for a walk, get some sunshine on your face, especially if your job is indoors looking at a screen. Throughout the day, it's about rewiring your brain. Practice thinking positively, prioritizing yourself while still remaining compassionate towards others. And at the end of the day, make sure you write down everything you're grateful for. Self-love is not easy or even a linear process, but over time, it'll get better. I know it can be kind of hard to recognize it when you're in the thick of it, but here are some signs your mental health is getting worse. You're losing interest in things that used to make you really happy. Your sleep schedule isn't a schedule at all. Life is overwhelming, yes, but it seems like lately every minor inconvenience is just too much to handle. You don't have any impulse control, you're just reacting off your first gut instinct. You're having a really hard time staying grounded. Life seems to be happening a lot up here, like through your eyes, rather than experiencing it throughout your whole body. And if you relate to any of these things, I can make a part 2 on how to start to get yourself back, but I do recommend reaching out to somebody you love and opening up a little bit. Next time you go to shake somebody's hand, instead of doing the traditional up and down, try going left and right. It never gets old watching their faces, you guys just go in a circle. I learned this one from a friend who works at a restaurant, but whenever you're out to eat with like a group of people, make sure you only ask questions to the person that's still chewing. Whenever you go over to somebody's house for like a party or something, make sure you bring some sort of object to leave there. It could be a tiny plant, maybe a TV remote you don't use anymore, some sort of weird statue, just anything that they would find and be like, what? So I've been seeing a lot of those like, oh, let's watch my spine decompress videos where people like hang and you kind of watch them drop a little bit. But I feel like it's just your shoulders relaxing, so I'm gonna try it. Here's some toys from your childhood that got banned. Barbie and Oreo did a little collaboration and made the Oreo Barbie. The black version of this Barbie was very quickly pulled off of shelves after people started pointing out that Oreo is a derogatory term. So not very many of these Barbies were made, and because of this, people have started selling them on eBay for as much as $300. The inflatable baby boat. ONLYJAYUS got recalled because this product, which is designed to keep babies from drowning, ended up drowning some babies because it was really easy for them to just fall through the leg straps, which is why a lot of the marketing for it nowadays shows the parent holding on to the child anyway. Razor scooters didn't get banned, but they probably should have. In 2001 alone, it sent over 110,000 kids to the hospital. In a decade, over 3.2 million. It's crazy to think that their next step was to add sparks and a motor to this thing, because that's a good idea. Oh, Bella, make sure you do those dishes like I asked. I am. Don't give me back talk. Give me your phone. Hey, go take the trash out. You got it, Mom. You can count on me. Go take the trash out to the dumpster. Okay. Oh, did somebody spill? That's okay, sweetie. Look, I got a towel. Go clean it up. I didn't spill it. What is with this back talk from you? You know, I'm keeping your phone for another week. Hey, do you have any chapstick? No, I don't. But I learned in this survival book that you can just use the grease around your nose as a substitute. You mean the grease? Oh my God. Oh man, I just jumped in the pool. I got water stuck in my ears. Oh yeah, same thing happened to me. Just tilt the ear that's more full, like down towards the ground. Now jump, but land on your heels with your knees locked. hell? Hey. What? Before I leave, do you want anything from the store? I had the music on way too loud and my ears are ringing. What? I swear to God. Take your palms, put them on your ears, and then with your fingers, tap the back of your skull. I don't understand how that worked. You know, you can actually tell if you're in a good relationship by just these 5 things. You don't get bored around them, like, ever, even on those days when you're doing literally nothing. If you're able to joke around about a recent fight you guys had, that is a good sign because it shows there's no built-up resentment over it. If you guys are starting to pick up on each other's mannerisms and way of speaking, this is a scientifically proven signal that y'all are in love. Being around them doesn't drain you or your social battery. Instead, it actually seems to charge you up. There's no holiday coming up, but you start getting them little things that you know they'll like anyway. Maybe their favorite drink, some snacks, random flowers. My boyfriend will just bring me t-shirts that they found, and they end up being my favorite. One of my favorite examples of civil disobedience is in 1979, Sweden classified homosexuality as an illness, and in protest, the people of Sweden would call into work saying they couldn't come in today. They were feeling gay. My dad was a beekeeper, so here are some of the honey hacks that I know. Next time you get a pimple, take some raw, unfiltered honey and put it on it and then cover it with a Band-Aid overnight. By the time you wake up, it'll be completely gone. And if you do this honey mask consistently, if you have any acne scars, those will start to disappear too. If you want to take care of some split ends, you can put a little bit of honey on them or a mixture of honey, coconut oil, honey, olive oil. Put it on the split ends. You'll wake up in the morning, they'll be so smooth and moisturized. A little bit of honey can also be a cure for some chapped lips and make it easier. I haven't tried it, that's just what I've heard. If you ever have to measure out honey, put some oil inside the measuring cup. That way when you put the honey in, it won't stick to it and it'll just fall right out. Honey doesn't go bad, so if it ever hardens up on you, just put it in some boiling water, it'll soften right up. Here's some things that airports don't tell you, but they probably should. Over 70% of crashes are survivable, but the reason they say that most people don't is because they don't dress to egress, meaning closed-toed shoes and non-synthetic clothing to be able to survive while waiting for rescue. You should drink a lot of water before getting on the plane because it's pressurized at a higher altitude than sea level, which is going to make you dehydrated, which, yes, means alcohol will affect you more. If you forget your phone charger, don't buy one at the airport, they're overpriced. Instead, ask somebody at the check-in counter. They usually have this big box of extras and they'll give you one if you're nice about it. The little church inside of an airport is a great place to get some sleep. Yes, the plane gives you the option to recline your seat back about a ½ an inch, and it is totally within your right to use it. You know, get comfortable, but it is the quickest way to make sure that the person sitting behind you is your arch nemesis for life. Did you know that the color of your bed sheets can actually make or break the quality of sleep that you're getting? Some of the worst colors you can put in your bedroom are red because it's a danger signal, it brings out a lot of energy, purple because of its intensity and making people want to be creative, and brown because it's kind of gloomy and isolating. Some middle of the ground colors would be orange because it's kind of like brown but more bright and exciting. Black can be okay if you do it right, but it can also bring up a lot of negative emotions like fear, anger, and sadness. Same thing with white. In a hotel it can be really nice, but in your own home it can come off as really harsh and sterile and kind of uninviting. Beige is a good trade-off because it's still simple but gives off a little bit more peace and warmth. By far the best colors you can put into your room to improve your sleep would be a light pink because it's known to be gentle and improve your mood, green because it's a very natural, tranquil color, you know, organic vibes, and blue is regarded as the #1 best color for sleep. I'm getting very calm, stable, trustworthy feelings from these sheets. After reading all that, my insomnia is making a whole lot of sense. If you're feeling like you hate yourself, take a shower. If you're feeling like you hate everyone, try eating something. If you feel like everyone hates you, get some sleep. And if you're feeling like everyone hates everyone, put down the phone and go outside.